welcome to the Questionable Podcast. Your host is flustered because he's never had to do this before. Scotty Questions is not here, but it's me, Gian, here with Miko.
What's up, man? You look,
Not
you
much,
look,
dude.
you look good for like new father. You and I talked a good amount before this. Not a lot of sleep, but you look good. You look well rested
Thank you.
enough.
Thank you very much. Yeah. We're going through it right now, but it's been better. It's been getting easier since we discovered this magic elixir that is gripe water. Which, if we have any listeners out there about to be parents, look into it. It's a godsend. It's like a
I'm gonna have to get it for
digestive
my
aid.
brother.
Yeah, it's like a digestive aid that helps them process gas more naturally, or not
Okay.
naturally, but like more effectively. And so like a lot of the crying, a lot of the like the wailing is just apparently trapped gas that they just can't pass. They don't know what it is. It's just pressure and it hurts, so they cry.
Unclench your cheeks,
So
babies. All the
yeah,
babies out there just need to unclench and just let it pass naturally.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if in there any new parents, gripe water gets a 10 out of 10 review from this guy.
Nice.
Satisfied parents. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, again, welcome everybody. As you guys can see, yes, Scotty's not with us. We talked to him a little bit earlier today. He is on a business trip for the day job, so hopefully he'll be back next week with tons of energy. Hopefully Gian and I can bring enough energy for you guys. Uh, just up front, this probably won't be a super long podcast, but we are going to still talk Lions. We got to talk about the Thanksgiving game. But before we jump into all that, if you are new here, if you are a return visitor, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. We also have the Questionable Tees website where we have some of our fanware and some of our branded merch. So please head over there, check out the website. Um, but yeah, Gian, I think that's about it. We can go ahead and jump into the Lions. Um, and yeah, Lions fall a little short to Buffalo on the Thanksgiving game, 28-25. I can at least say I was entertained. I was like the one
yes.
thing I wanted for Thanksgiving was to be able to watch the game beginning to end, and I got that. There was no
Yeah.
like storming out of the room. I was pretty glued to my TV like from kickoff.
Yeah, I was running from the kitchen to the living room because we had Rachel Cousins doing her residency and she's doing nights. So we had to do Thanksgiving at noon, and
Okay.
trying to get Thanksgiving together for noon is a very tall order. And for listeners, I'm on the West Coast. That game started at 9:30 a.m. And so I was making gravy and mashed potatoes, and I had it turned up a little loud, but was running back and forth between the kitchen, and so I didn't get to see a lot of the
Oh, so you
actual
couldn't mute the
game.
TV. You actually had to listen for
No,
once.
I actually had to listen to the commentary. It was exhausting.
Dude, isn't Tony Romo annoying? It can't just be me. Like the man's annoying.
Yeah. Hmm. Yes, indeed. I see, but like that's why I mute them. There, to me, like they like all are.
I mean, true. I think to a certain degree, like they all can be a little obnoxious. Tony Romo to me is like try hard guy. Like he's the guy that got the
Okay.
job. Probably shouldn't have got the job, but now he does like everything over the top. There was the segment where they were talking about John Madden and how like John Madden had the boom on like every
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and like Romo's like, I got to come up with my own, like a pow, a pow. And I'm like, are we really doing this right now?
Yeah, he's like
Like
workshopping
there's
ideas on air.
yeah, I'm like, there is no way this is actual life right now. But I digress.
I
Going
do.
back to the
Sorry,
game.
I
Go ahead.
do
Yeah.
like Chris Collinsworth. I just think
Oh
like
no.
his
Yeah. Chris
Chris
Collinsworth
Collinsworth. Like
is
I also like his voice has like a timbre, and he's like Chris Collinsworth. Like
Collinsworth is
it's nice.
good. Tarico is good. Well, yeah, they're a tandem. So him and Tarico are really good together. Um, I like the Monday night guys. The Monday night guys are really, really good. I think Louis Riddick is back in the booth, and
Mm.
he's like just I don't know, just the way he dissects and breaks down plays is like always really cool to me. Um, But again, getting back to the Lions, getting back to this Buffalo game, um, yeah, I mean, I think there's a moment in the game for me where like I felt like things were slipping away, but like it's weird because the Lions never really felt like out of it. The Jamal
Hmm.
fumble like took a little bit of air out of me, and I was like, that's the one thing you didn't need. You didn't need to like give up a possession, and then on top of that, Buffalo scored. So like that took a little bit of air out of the sails for me, but like Dan Campbell teams seem to do like week in week out, like they fought back, and I don't know, like I'm still like I am a little high on this team, like still like even after this loss. Not so much like as like a moral victory thing, but like I liked the effort. I liked the fact that they were in it from beginning to end.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and I think like that really like cuts the heart of it. And like because so the question that I have is, and obviously this game happened on Thursday. We're recording it on Tuesday, so we've missed a lot of the discussion in regards to the infamous 3rd and 1, the
Yeah.
force, the fumbles, the 21 point, the potential 21-point swing. There were a lot of mistakes, um, but my takeaway from this game is boils down to one fundamental question: is does this game change anything for you? Does it change your opinion on the coaching staff? Does it change your opinion on Jared Goff? Does it change your opinion on personnel versus scheme? Does it change your opinion on the overall direction of the rebuild and where we are at in the rebuild? And my big takeaway was no. Like like Miko, like you said, the game was entertaining. We never felt out of it. We were in it again until 23 seconds left.
Yeah.
and and against probably arguably top 3 team in the entire league. And I think next year, which I don't know if we're gonna have time to get into the Rams, but uh, that's gonna be pick number 2. I mean, I think we're picking 2 or 3,
I was gonna
which
say, yeah, it's a top three pick. I feel like at this point, like it's a lot for
yeah.
top three pick.
Yeah, so the fact that we're going to have either picks 2 or 3 and then somewhere around, I don't know, like 12 to 15, 12 to 17 maybe. Um
Yeah.
Seeing that, like, I don't know, I don't think we lose this game next year. And I think so for me, no, nothing was changed. Like Jared Goff is who he is. He is who we've said he has been. Um uh that infamous 3rd and 1 has been debated to death, but Zylstra was wide open, Amon-Ra St. Brown was wide open, and then he missed the
Hmm.
throw to. So like we can debate as to whether or not Chark ran the right route, or was it a back shoulder throw? Was it a what throw? You know that's neither here nor there. Like he had 2 other wide open guys past the first down marker, and or if he had like athleticism, it was a 3rd and 1. He could have run it. He scrambled. Like it
Yeah.
just all goes back to stuff that we've been saying for weeks now. So no, and like this coaching staff, I think the team is playing really hard, um, and they're playing well. And against Jacksonville, we have potentially 5 starters coming back from injury. Jonah Jackson was revealed. I think he did not have a concussion. Okuda and um, I can't remember who else. They're in phase 3, so they're going to be cleared to play.
Yeah.
Um, so there's Jackson, Okuda, and damn, I can't remember who.
Evan
Sorry, I didn't.
Brown.
Um,
I think Evan Brown, I think he was dealing with an ankle, but I think he is
yeah,
like on the up and up. Um,
okay. Because that was another thing about talk about like game changers or like what ifs, and I don't like to dwell in this territory, but
sure.
if even more so than Akuda, if we had Evan Brown and Jonah Jackson in, I think it's a bit different of a game.
No, I agree. I think that was if we're talking about an oh no moment, it was like one of the early plays in that Lions game where like one of the guard just got blew up and I was like,
Mm.
"Oh no." Like if this is down in down out type of stuff cuz like when you don't know the name of your offensive guards. Now, Dan Skipper was in there so it's like, "Okay, fine." Skipper for the most part did okay. But the other guy, the guy that was filling in for Jonah Jackson, like when you don't know that guy's name, that's
Mm.
always an oh no moment for me. And it looked like it from jump. But going back to your question, I'm right there with you in that like this game doesn't change anything drastically. Like if anything, it this game probably more than any other game that they've played this year solidified the most things for me. It solidified if we were going to go from the top down. I had said this probably a few weeks back about Dan Campbell and his quote unquote bad decisions when in coaching. And I always feel like those are preceded by like his team not necessarily doing what they're supposed to do. You put your coach in a really bad predicament where he has to probably do a little more thinking than he actually should have to do. Where things should be like when you look at the Giants game, like that felt like it was on autopilot. Like the game plan was given to the
Mhm.
guys and they executed, and Dan didn't have to go for fourth downs. He didn't have to think about like clock management. He was able to just let those guys roll. And in this game, there was a lot of that. It's a lot of like, okay, we have the ball going into the second half. Do we want to run clock and possibly like not get into scoring position, or do we want to, or not score, or do we want to get the points while we can and hope that the defense holds? Like you're making him do way too much thinking in this situation, and probably he made the wrong decision by not choosing to milk more clock in certain situations. Jared Goff proving once again that like while he is serviceable, while he is probably good enough to keep you in games like this, he doesn't quite have the it thing, the it factor to take you over the top. In a game where Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, for the most part, were fairly quiet and not doing a whole lot, you your quarterback wasn't able to like help you get to this ridiculous lead. He did enough to keep you in it, which is great. But to your point about
Mhm.
like lack of athleticism, a lack of deep ball accuracy, like those are the moments where talent needs to shine, right? I mean, looking at that game, looking at and we knew like, okay, there's 23, 30 seconds on the clock. I don't think there was a person in the building that didn't think like, nah, Josh Allen could probably get them in the field goal range.
Yep.
Like you just knew it because like even if he's having a bad game, he still has the talent. I said this a couple weeks ago about Aaron Rodgers. Never felt comfortable in that game because Aaron Rodgers, even if his team sucks and aren't playing well, he himself still has enough talent to drive a team down and get a last minute field goal or last minute touchdown that'll tank you. So I I I long for the day where we have a guy like that that operates in
Mhm.
that manner where you're just like, yeah, that's fine, but as long as we get it back with like 20, 30 seconds, and to a degree Stafford was that at times where it was like, oh no, as long as we got you gave the ball back to Matthew Stafford with a minute left, oh no, that's
Mhm.
that's ball game or more than likely ball game. Um So yeah, golf kind of solidified that. Things that we've already been saying. I think we've even on the defensive side, we've said, this defensive line plays well, then typically the defense itself plays well. And for the most part, they did at times. They really ruffled, Josh Allen at times. They got a good amount of hits on him, but then there were also times where they weren't very disciplined. Looking at the Austin Bryant roughing the passer call, you look at guys like Aiden Hutchinson not having his greatest game, but I still think he was impactful. But I did see times where they were doing things that like got them in trouble in the first half of the season, where they're over pursuing on rush lanes and things of that nature. Where it's like, dude, if one of you guys can like loop back inside, Josh Allen is standing right there. Just loop back around. Um, and again, like we've got further confirmation that we probably need help in the secondary. That while Will Harris can be very serviceable in a lot of situations, asking him to cover Stephon Diggs in the slot is probably a little too much. You're probably asking for too much out of it.
Yeah.
So like I agree with you. Not a lot changed. A lot of things got solidified for me. And then there are a couple new things popped up that like have questions like, hey, is James Houston really for real? Is this a real thing? Um and things of that nature. So I mean, that's always good to have as a positive, but I am more confident in the rebuild and I am more confident in that like we have most of the right pieces in the right places. We just need to we need to restock at linebacker. We need to restock in the secondary. And if given the opportunity, we probably should look at a different quarterback if there's one that Brad Holmes likes, which that's probably going to be the biggest mystery going into this offseason
Yeah.
is like, what does Brad Holmes like in a quarterback?
Mhm. Because he certainly liked Jared Goff.
loves him. Like,
Yeah.
well, sorry, loved him because I love like how you always bring up like what Brad Holmes had to say when he was asked about like, hey, is this a proven
Oh,
year for
yeah.
Jared Goff? And he was like, Jared has everything. He's been given everything he needs to succeed. And it's like, that sounds like somebody that's fed up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, no, it's gonna be very exciting. Like I am at literally at the point where like I would love Jalen Carter. Um,
Hmm.
just Carter, Aleem, and then Hutch. And sadly, so there's a couple other things that I mean, again, we're 4 days out from it. Um, so sorry, my cat ran behind me. So anyway, sorry. Um, so there's not much to like, I think, talk about in regards to the game. You brought up James Houston. That's a great thing to have happen. Um,
Hmm.
I, I, yeah, like you find room for that guy, and hopefully he can keep it up. I mean, because my God, that would just be such a huge help. Even if I mean, 2 sacks on 5 snaps, he's obviously not going to maintain that maintain that level of production.
Sure.
But just as a depth piece, like just to have a rotational guy that can come in and produce. Oh my God, like that's just
I mean, and it what a call up, right? Like literally nobody's been talking about James Houston all season.
right.
No one, because I think we all saw the same thing in preseason. Like, oh, dude is raw. Like,
Mm-hmm.
probably doesn't quite have the size to deal with these offensive tackles and this, that, and the other. And he was clearly still figuring it out. But coming in, just getting the call up and immediately thrown in on pass rush situations and like given one job, like, hey, go get the quarterback. And to do it twice on 5 snaps is crazy to think. Like
Yeah,
if he can at least be that, if he can be a third down specialist where, hey, on third and long, we're going to send you out there, 3rd and 7 plus, like, hey, you're going out there and we're going to ask you to go get the quarterback. I mean, dude, if you're still getting it again, 2 out of 5, like, great.
right.
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
great percentage.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to imagine they expanded the role. Like the athleticism he showed. I don't know if it was his first or second, but the athleticism he showed with getting around that one
Hmm.
offensive line and then the bend to come back,
I
and
think it
then
was the first one.
he grabbed onto Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a big, strong dude, and like he did not let go. Like he was trying to get away. James Houston like brought him down from with his butt on the ground, like, and it was just that just is an was an incredibly athletic play, and it
Yeah,
just bodes
I
like it. That's I think like that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to see more.
yeah, that may have been the most athletic pass rush I think I've seen on the Lions all season. Like as far as
Very
just
true.
like snap gets a quarterback. Like because like it's everything that you said. It was like it was a perfect, like really good bend and acceleration around the edge to then get to the quarterback. Like it again, this is not a shot at Hutch, but like it wasn't like it was a long drawn out play where he had to like work, and then eventually like wore down the tackle. Like no, it was seemed very quick. Like
Yeah,
both
and
of
he
his
beat him.
sacks felt like they came very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it does. The again, it's one game, not putting him in the Hall of Fame or anything crazy like that, but it's one of those things where it's like it's a tangible piece of evidence that makes you think like, okay, if they've been working with this kid all season and then he finally gets an opportunity to shine and he does this, it gives you confidence in the coaching staff and it does give you like a good amount of confidence in Brad Holmes that like, okay, he does have an eye for talent and he has a good eye for matching that talent with his coaching staff to develop.
mm,
Because
yeah,
so far we've seen that with James Houston, again, not starting or even being on the active roster and then shining in an opportunity. We've seen it with Kirby, again, not starting, but and it took Kirby a little bit longer, but like as Kirby got some like more in-game experience, he started to shine more. Same with Panay, like when Panay was here, when Panay got drafted last year, like again, maybe rough in the preseason, but like really like turned it up with the more experience and more reps he got. It's showing that he has that eye for talent.
Yeah, and I think it's no coincidence that Hutch has been playing. Like, he obviously had that monster half against the
Mm-hmm.
Commanders, and then we said, well, he's played like two solid quarters of football in 6 games, and then he
Yeah,
came out of the bye, and he has been, I'm not going to say a different player, but he has been an elevated player for sure. The
yeah,
difference pre and post bye is, I think, tangible. And so, just kind of to your point, that Hutch seems to be settling in, figuring it out. Houston settling in, figuring it out. Kirby Joseph settling in, figuring it out. And I think, yeah, it speaks to the coaching staff. It speaks to, yeah, Brad. That's a really good point about matching. Like, I know my guys can get the most out of this type of player. And
yeah.
I think that's a bit
And it may be,
underrated.
yeah, and it may not be everyone, right? Like again, we're still kind of waiting for Derek Barnes to really emerge. We're still waiting to see JMO. Um, but for the most part, I mean, we're still waiting for Iffy to ever get back on the field, and that might not ever happen. But like again, in a 7 round NFL draft, if you can at least hit on like 4 of those guys,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're doing really well as a GM.
Yeah.
So again, I know like we did talk, or at least I talked about like turning up a little bit of pressure on him a couple weeks ago because like again, like there was a lot of questions about like are these guys going to start producing in a big enough way? And to your point, post post buy, like we're starting to kind of see that more and more. But again, they're still rookies, and you're still going to see them have rookie moments as well. So while I don't expect Hutch to come out and have 2 sacks every game, I do expect him at least to make an impact, be a presence like on the field in some capacity. Same with Kirby, same with Malcolm. You know, um, same will be true for Jamo when he finally gets here. I don't expect Jamo to go out there and rack up 100 yards in his first game,
Right.
especially considering Goff's deep ball percentage, like which is not very
Right.
great. But like at the very least, hopefully he can dictate coverage.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you were speaking, I someone posted the stat today. Um, since the bye, the Lions defense points given up per game, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they are, since the bye, they're 18th in the league. And if you count for, I think if you start after, and I know like this is all like, there's a adage in statistics that you just keep adding filters until you get the outcome that you want.
Sure.
but but if you do points per game from the Packers and like basically the last 4 games,
Gotcha.
we're like 11th. And so I mean, and again, I know that's like selective editing in order to make a really good sounding stat, but I think it does speak to this the overall trend that we're talking about of
Yeah.
this team is moving in the right direction. If you can like trim off the early games, then you'll, yeah, then the more recently we're how, I don't know how am I saying this again, new dad, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted, but like
No, but like
we're we're playing better football as the season
yeah.
goes on instead of falling apart, which I feel like that's what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and I think that's yeah, that's the the reassuring thing when pulling up those kind of numbers. It's not to say that like, oh, this is the 18th best defense or the 11th best defense in the NFL. Like, no, we're just saying that like clearly they've turned a corner. Clearly they've found a scheme and they've found a way of playing defense that is conducive to again, prior to this game, winning 3 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now they have an opportunity to go against a Jacksonville team that same record as them, and they have a chance to like again get back on that winning track. Which I'm not gonna lie to you, pre Sunday, so Saturday before Sunday's games were played, I was very confident that the Lions could probably go in there and roll Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
and then they went and beat the Ravens.
Right. Yeah.
And now I don't feel as great about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Like, I go back to what you said before about like if they had beat the Bills, that Jacksonville would have been like a trap game. I think Jacksonville is still a trap game
Hmm.
because you get them at home. And from what we've seen from them all season, like Jacksonville's not a great team either. Like they're no, I don't think we would definitively say that they're drastically better than the Lions in any area really. Maybe their defense has maybe played more consistently better than ours because ours was dead last. But for the most part, these are two evenly matched teams,
Hmm.
I would say. Um, what is your biggest concern with Jacksonville like coming into Detroit this Sunday?
Um, I, uh, the is it? It's Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
I always get Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert like mixed up, and
No,
I don't
that's
know.
fair.
I don't know why. It's just like two generic white names,
It's the flowing
and
locks. They both have
yeah.
like the long flowing locks and they like put it like they put like the headband on like somewhere in the
Oh,
middle.
they both do that. Okay.
Yeah.
No, so I that is like he's coming off a monster game, and he's been on my fantasy bench for a long time now, and he's just not played well all season, and then like now it seems like he hopefully he just had a good game, and it's not like oh he figured it out. Um,
Yeah.
so I again it was Geno Smith, it was you know the only time I was nervous in the Green Bay game was when Aaron Rodgers ran, and he ran for like
Yeah.
17 yards and then 18, and Justin Fields. So like it's clearly our Achilles heel. So I think if he has a good game, but we just like contain Josh Allen. So I don't know. But if
So
if if I had to say what was my biggest concern, it would be yeah Trevor Lawrence.
so ironically enough, my biggest concern for the second week in a row probably is Josh Allen because the Jacksonville Jaguars also have a Josh Allen who plays
Mm.
defensive end and dude's a monster. I mean,
Oh, okay.
again, Decker and Sewell are studs, at both tackle spots, but Josh Allen is a problem. They again, Jacksonville may not be playing the greatest football, but they still have guys on the edge. You still have to deal with Josh Allen. You still have to deal with Trayvon Walker's coming in here. Um, they have Kayvon Chase on. They have a bunch of guys that they have bodies that they can just throw at this offensive line. I think that could um potentially make things problematic. And we've discussed on multiple occasions, the problems that golf has with dealing with pressure. And if I'm Jacksonville, that kind of plays directly into your favor of like, oh, this is a quarterback that doesn't handle pressure well. And you have athletic edge rushers, like get to him quickly. Get to him
Mm.
quickly. And if you can get to him quickly, you'll probably rush some of those throws. Um, and I think that's the other issue too with like again that concerns me is that like with a really good pass rush, you speed up Jared Goff's clock, and we already know that like he predominantly loves to throw short. So
Mm.
like that's even easier on coverage because you're like, oh well, cover two or like man, which I've always said like Jared Goff hates throwing against man. Like you play man and then you blitz, and if you win on a lot of your blitzes, like it's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that sounds bad. Um, I,
It does,
I
but
want I
like
want to
on the
believe.
well, no, because like, but on the flip side, right? The thing that makes me feel good though is that like the Lions have been really good against the run mostly. Now it's mostly been Jamal, which still frustrates me. The fact that they won't like spread that load out evenly amongst their backs. Wow, that sounds terrible.
Suspect. Suspect.
Oh man,
Nice.
the fact that they won't split the carries amongst the running back group more evenly is still
Hmm.
frustrating to me. Um, but I feel like this is a game where you need to probably do more of that. Whether it's I mean, again, you wanna give the ball to Jamal 10 plus times, fine. But like Swift needs to probably be getting just as many carries on
Yeah.
top of like receiving opportunities out of the backfield. So I do think they probably have like an advantage there if like they can just kind of dictate, because like one of the best ways you can beat a pass rush is if you can run the ball. So if you can run the ball effectively, then like great. You kind of limit the number of times that they can kind of, you know, blitz that heavily, and then you open them up to play action and things of that nature.
Hmm. Yeah, I also think just for a team as banged up as this one, I mentioned it in my big long rant. I think just having like a week, almost a week and a half in between games is
Yeah.
very advantageous. Just extra time to game plan, as we now know. Like it really seems like um, this coaching staff is in these last four games coming in with really solid plans, and
Mm-hmm.
so a little extra to plan uh, for this pass rush. But one thing that in terms of like maybe score prediction, this is more predictive. Um, Maybe not even prediction, but what I'll say is along with my trend thing of Green Bay was two bad teams, Chicago was
Mm-hmm.
50-50. Um, the Giants were a team that was on paper and in all intents and purposes better than us. The
Yeah.
Bills, and we won.
Clearly better than
And
us.
then clearly, and then the Bills are just the gap is too wide. I think
Yeah, I would say the
at
gap
this point.
at yeah, I would say the gap at receiver and quarterback was too wide to overcome.
Mm-hmm. And so Jacksonville, as you said, were very evenly matched. And so I think, you know, I don't want to like this is one game where like I'll take a moral victory against the Bills. I'll take that any day. I'll take a moral victory
Mhm.
against like the Chiefs, the Eagles. Sure. I'm not going to
Sure.
take a moral victory against Jacksonville. Like I think we have shown like we beat the Commanders, who they probably weren't the same team when we beat them that they are now, but the schedule is what it is. So
Yeah.
Green Bay was a dumpster fire when we played them and we beat them. We
Mhm.
rose to we fought and we clawed against the Bears, and we rose to the occasion against the Giants, and we had never felt out of control of that game. That's what I want to see against Jacksonville is we've proven we can beat teams with winning records. Okay, now you can't win Jacksonville by a field goal. Like I would, and again, if we don't do this, I don't know if it's again to echo what Miko says a lot. It depends on the nature of the victory, but
Yeah.
I would really like to see us go in against an evenly matched team and just be in control for the overwhelming majority of this game and come out plus 10.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I would love, and I do kind of expect to see a similar performance to what we saw against the Giants, because
Mm-hmm.
I think just as like to your point about Trevor Lawrence playing better now, he is still prone to playing poorly. He will still miss throws, he will still rush throws and things of that nature. So, he's not Josh Allen. He shouldn't be able to beat you by himself.
Mm-hmm.
In a very similar situation as the Giants as well, there's nobody on the outside at receiver that like terrifies me. Marvin Jones is a veteran, solid, but like Christian Kirk, like you go against Christian Kirk every day in Amon-Ra St. Brown, in my opinion. You should
That's
know how to
true.
cover a guy like that. Travis Etienne, yeah, Etienne could be a problem, but for the most part, the Lions have like again, they've been defending the run much better
Yeah.
these last few games. So I'm not drastically concerned, but Travis Etienne is a type of player that you can also get involved in the passing game. So I'm interested in seeing where the Lions put their focus on in this game. Knowing Dan Campbell, it's probably going to be old school, stop the run, make them one dimensional, make them have to throw it. Fine. Um, but this is a type of game where like I expect it to I would love to see it, and I expect to see it be very similar to the Giants because I don't think there's that many ways Jacksonville can beat you, and
Mm,
then all you have to do offensively is take care of the ball. Like, honestly, just don't put the don't necessarily put it all on Jared Goff's shoulder to have to like win every throw.
hmm.
Again, as much as I hate that like Jamal's getting so many carries, I'm not saying that I don't want to see them run the ball. I'm just saying I wish it was a little more diversified.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Because Justin Jackson looked great against the Giants, and
Yeah.
even like if it's not going to be Swift, then hopefully it is, and that he is feeling healthier. But if it's not, I mean, Justin Jackson looked great against the Giants. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see. So score. So in terms of score prediction, I'm gonna say, um, I'm gonna say 31-21 Lions.
Okay. I was actually gonna go I was gonna go 31-14. Because we also
Whew.
didn't mention I think they also get well, Josh Reynolds played on Thanksgiving, but I think he'll be healthier
Mm-hmm.
because he only got in like on one snap when like Saint was hurt. Um but like that's the other thing that's exciting. Like this offense at the skill positions is probably its healthiest since week one. Like we will finally, if Josh Reynolds is a full go, like no limitations in practice or whatever,
Oh, that's right.
we haven't had three healthy wide receivers, like our three starting healthy wide receivers since week one, I want to
Yeah.
say. So like well, it's probably been like week 2 or 3, probably. But like that's exciting. The fact that like Goff will have all of his weapons available to him. And for the most part, that means the playbook should be more open. You should be able
Mm-hmm.
to get back to running the type of plays that you were running early in the season. And maybe Jared Goff feels more comfortable throwing some of these passes to Josh Reynolds that than he is when throwing to Chark or Raymond.
Yeah, that's a great point. Um, is Pascal gonna play? I mean, like the injury report comes out tomorrow, or
Yeah, I think the second injury report comes out tomorrow, or the first official. No, yeah, it's the first official injury report comes out tomorrow. Um,
did he play on Thanksgiving? He was not, right?
no, he was
Yeah.
out with he's still out with a knee injury. Um, but again, you should get Okuda back. You should get Jackson back. Reynolds will hopefully get more snaps. And then we got to wait to hear about Evan Brown. But I would hope we get Evan Brown back. Like, if there's any player that I want back who like is probably the least likely, it would be Evan Brown. I think
Yeah.
you'll need a healthy offensive line
Yes. Yeah.
to
From
take
everything
on
that you
like
just said. Yeah.
yeah. Um. So yeah, that's score prediction. So Gion's got him 31-21. I got him 31-14. Um, dude, like yeah, let's go on a run. Like I don't even. This is the easiest part of the Lions schedule. Like you have Jacksonville, Minnesota. I think is the last team on their schedule currently that has a winning record, and I think everyone else is like in the same boat as the Lions, where they have at least 7 losses.
Oh wow. Wait. So is Jacksonville? Is it in? Is it at Ford Field or
It's
no?
at Ford Field. Yeah. So their next
Okay.
2 games are at home. Sorry. So they have Minnesota, the Jets. Minnesota and the Jets are the only 2 teams they have left on their schedule that have winning records.
Okay. Yeah, because then it's the Panthers, Bears.
Panthers, Bears, Green Bay.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah.
Football's coming to an end, man.
I know. What are we gonna talk about?
We're going to talk about the Pistons, and they're not. Bro, they lost 140 to 110
What? I
to the Knicks. Like I'm
140?
sick. Yeah,
Holy
I am
shit.
sick. After like, and they were on like a little win streak. I think they had won like 2 in a row. No, actually, sorry. Yeah, I think they had won 2 in a row before losing to Cleveland and the Knicks. Like they have the worst record in basketball right now.
I still again.
5-18, bro.
Holy shit. So is it bye bye to Dwayne Casey?
It should be.
Yeah.
like I know they're gonna try to expend this as like, well, Cade's hurt because Cade's been out for a while,
Oh,
with
okay.
his shin injury, and he may be done for the season. They haven't like really determined like whether that's the case or not. Knowing Cade, he's probably gonna try and come back. Um, but yeah, dude, like I'm over it. Like I'm over the Dwayne Casey experiment. Like,
Hmm.
do this man a favor and fire him before Christmas. Don't let this man, or maybe you fire him after Christmas. I don't know. Let him get like that Christmas bonus, be able to buy his family plenty of nice things for Christmas, and then you be like, hey man,
Hmm.
the new year's coming up, but
Yeah.
you won't be bringing it in with us.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that was
5 and
always your yard.
18,
That was always your yardstick. 5 and 18.
5 and
That's
18.
awful.
Like it, I just don't understand. I don't understand how you can keep picking in the lottery. Like that was my only request. Don't be in the mix for the number one pick again.
Yeah.
And almost
It's a very
25
low
games,
bar.
right? And almost 25 games into the season, you're you're basically a lock for the first overall pick.
Damn. Okay.
It's man.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
Yeah, no, we can get out of
on
here
that
because
bright
now I'm
sunny
upset.
note. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm upset now.
now that
God.
now that our blood pressure is up.
But no, yeah, before we head out of here, I obviously want to thank all of you guys for tuning in, hanging out with Gian and myself. Shout out to Scotty on his work trip. Obviously, we did get a text from him. He's basically the hotel Wi-Fi was not going to allow him to get on the podcast and join us tonight. So, shout outs to him. Shout outs to again everybody that supports the Questionable Podcast. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Share it with people that if you enjoy this podcast, share it with people that you also think would enjoy it as well. We would love to see our subscribers continue to grow as we start to wrap up this new year and hopefully have some new things in place for 2023 with the podcast. Um, Huge shout out to my wife and my girls for their support. Shout out to you, Gian, for hopping on, getting a little bit of a break from daddy duty. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. First of all, thank you to my wife who is taking care of my daughter, our daughter, right now, so that I can be here. So thank you to her. Thank you to my daughter. Thank you to the cat right here for staying quiet. I was convinced she was going to start just going crazy about 10 minutes ago, but she's is on her best behavior.
has the
So
cat adjusted to the baby?
yes, yes. I think she's like it's just too noisy. It's just like this is just too noisy. It's like we were a very quiet household
Yeah.
before
And
this
now it's
whole
like,
thing.
what the hell is all this noise?
Yeah, yeah, and you can see it on her face. Like sometimes when our daughter's crying, and it's not just like fussy crying. It's like no, something's wrong crying.
Yeah.
Um, our cat like has like a very concerned look on her face, like, and she like looks to the baby and then back to us, and you can
Like,
tell
hey,
there's like concern.
like, hey, you guys gonna get that? What the hell did you guys bring back from the hospital? I'll let you guys leave for a couple days.
Right, exactly, exactly. So I think she's adjusted, but
That's good, man.
but yeah, and yeah, so yeah, thank you. This is great.
Yeah. But that's gonna do it for us, guys. This is the Questionable Podcast. Out.